All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig in a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Check out Pig in a Pickle. 2 locations there in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin County from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Well, our good friend Dave Lombardi has a very interesting tweet out today about Steve Wilks. And it really illustrates, I think, the differences that we're going to see from the 49ers on the defensive side of the football in the year ahead. So here's the tweet. In 2022, when the 49ers were coached by D'Amico Ryans, when he was their defensive coordinator this last year, the Niners defense blitzed 21.6% of the time, which is not very high. That's a really low blitz rate. In fact, that blitz rate was made them 20th in the NFL in blitz rate. So even though that seems like a really low blitz rate, that was actually up from when Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator before he took the Jets job. When Saleh was the Niners defensive coordinator, the 49ers ranked near the bottom in blitz rate. Saleh really believed in you're getting it done with your front four. You never blitz. If ever, you rarely blitz, and Robert Saleh rarely blitzed. Now, D'Amico Ryans, he was very strategic about his blitzes. It seems like he would start games and really wouldn't blitz early. And then he would, once he would start to settle into the game, he would start to blitz on key third downs. A lot of times last year you would see him start to blitz on key third downs, and once he started, he would incorporate even more of the blitzes, and sometimes you would even see them on first or second downs. It was rare on first downs, but he started to blitz quite a bit on second down late in the year. So why? Was that because the defense was getting tired? Is that because Bosa was getting tired? It could have been. It could have been those reasons. It could have just meant that he felt like he needed a little bit more pressure up front to dictate the terms of the football game. So when Robert Saleh was here, the Niners bottom of the league in blitz rate. They hardly ever blitzed. D'Amico took over for Saleh. He basically did the same kind of thing, but the Niners blitzed, as I said, 21.6% of the time. That was 20th in the NFL. Now, the last time we saw Steve Wilks, now he was the head coach last year of the Carolina Panthers, but the last time Wilks was actually a defensive coordinator was in 2019 with the Cleveland Browns. And the Cleveland Browns blitz rate that year in 2019 under Wilks was 38.2%, which was fifth in the NFL. So that's a dramatic departure from what the 49ers and their fans have been used to watching on the defensive side of the ball. Under Saleh, he almost always got it done with his front four, didn't send blitzes very, very rarely. Under D'Amico, I think that was the game plan, but he started blitzing more and more as the year went on third downs. And then we even saw him blitzing late in the year on second downs. And they went from, the bottom of the league to 20th in the league. But if the Niners under Wilks blitz the same amount as the Browns in 2019 under Wilks, that means they're going to be blitzing a whole lot more, so 21.6% last year, 38.2% was what Wilks blitzed in Cleveland. And somewhere in between there is what he's likely to blitz this upcoming year with the 49ers. Now, it's predicated on a lot of things. Injuries. I mean, do you have Nick Bosa? Do you have a healthy Drake Jackson? Do you have a healthy Javon Hargrave? Do you have a healthy Eric Armstead? Are you putting a lot of heat on the quarterback with just your front four? You're not going to blitz and give quarterbacks defined looks, especially veteran quarterbacks defined looks, if you're getting it done with your front four. So you really would rather have a 0% blitz rate, and you just always can put heat on the quarterback with your front four, and you can drop guys into coverage liberally because you can put a rush on the quarterback just utilizing your front four. But this year, we don't know. We're not sure who's going to be healthy. We don't know what kind of impact Hargrave's going to have on their line. Is Drake Jackson going to come of age? If so, maybe the Niners won't blitz very much at all, because Hargrave gives them an interior rusher with Armstead. They haven't had interior rushers like this since they had Buckner. So Hargrave and Armstead inside, and then you've got the league's best edge rusher, really, in Nick Bosa outside. And if Drake Jackson becomes a house on fire as a edge rusher, you probably won't see a very high blitz rate. Wilks kind of admitted, hey, you know what? He tends to like to blitz, but the Niners usually don't. So does he step in and all of a sudden the Niners take on Wilks's personality, or does he adapt to their personality? And I think what we're going to see is really him adapt to their personality up front, and then adjust if time goes on and they're not getting it done. But I think the 49ers are going. I think if you ask me, what do I think Steve Wilks' blitz rate will be this year? I bet you it's going to be between 25 and 30%. I would say that he's going to blitz, not among the top 5 blitz teams in the NFL. I think he's going to blitz less. I think he's going to take fewer chances. I think he's going to play it a little bit more conservative. I don't think he's going to be, because he's got a better offense. He's got a better team. When you have a better team, you don't take as many chances. And also the 49ers have a very young secondary. I mean, let's look at all the young players. Hafanga, very young. Lenore, very young. Jair Brown's a rookie. Darrell Luter's a rookie. Ambry Thomas is very young. I mean, really, the only veteran of note back there is Tayshaun Gibson. So it's a very young secondary. And if you want your young secondary to gain confidence, you're going to protect them a little bit. And what does that mean? That means you're not going to be blitzing left and right, because you're not going to, make them have to play man. Now, they do have in Luter and Jair Brown 2 guys who are more comfortable playing man to man than they've had in the past. The Niners have played predominantly zone, partially because they don't match up speed wise. Partially they felt like they didn't match up coverage wise on the back end. So now they've got a couple guys that they do match up better. So now I think that they'd be more apt to blitz, because they do feel like they've got guys who can play man to man on the back end. But I still think you're going to see the 49ers play a high percentage of cover 3 zone. And I think they're going to try to get it done on, especially early in the year with their front 4. And if they can go out in the free agent market and sign a Leonard Floyd, a Yannick Ngakoue, a Frank Clark, a veteran edge rusher, I think that even adds more credence to the fact that they probably won't blitz very much. But you got to remember this, that Wilks likes to dial up the heat, and it'll be interesting to see where in drives he blitzes. Does he blitz? Some coordinators like to blitz you early in a drive so you don't get that first down. So you can't make their defense log minutes on the field, because they're getting off the field quicker because they're going 3 and out. They're bringing a big blitz on 3rd down, and they're forcing you to make a play against their blitz. And dialing up the heat early in drives. Other teams wait until later in drives to send blitzes. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see just kind of not just how often Steve Wilks brings 5 and 6 man rushes, but where in the drive. Does he do it at the beginning of the drive? Does he do it late in the drive? Does he do it in the opponent's territory? Does he do it when he's backed up in his own territory? It's really going to be interesting to see exactly how he calls the game. I think he was brought here to partially take on the 49ers approach, which is the Niners feel like they get a lot of heat with their front 4, with Chris Kocherik leading games up front. They do a lot of stunting, a lot of twists. And I expect more of the same. And I think we're going to see more games up front than you see blitzes. So I do think that the 49ers by the end of the year will wind up blitzing at a higher rate than they did last year, but probably not as high of a rate to make them top 5 in the league. So I would say, about a third of the time, if you said to me, are they going to blitz? What's their blitz rate going to be this year? Well, last year, it was 21%, 20th in the NFL. This year, I think it's going to be more like 30, 33% in that range, probably in the top 10 in the NFL. There's a lot of factors that play into it. But I think you're going to see Wilks bring some extra blitzes. And I think you're going to see the Niners play a little bit more man coverage on the backside, just because they have the athletes to match up. but I still think you're going to see a predominant zone. I think the majority of the time he's going to play zone. Majority of the time it's going to be cover 3. Majority of the time he's not going to bring blitzes. So it's going to be a different look. And I think you're going to see some linebackers shooting gaps. You're going to see Warner and Greenlaw on more delayed blitzes than they've been involved in the past. But as far as, do the Niners take on Wilks's traits, or does Wilks adapt more to their traits? I think it's going to be more the latter. I think Wilks is going to adapt more to their traits. I think he's going to blitz less here than he's done in other places. I think he's going to wind up playing a lot of cover 3 zone here. And I think they're going to wind up playing, a low percentage of man-to-man. And he's alluded to the fact that he likes to mix it up to create that, that indecision on the parts of quarterbacks. A lot of times it's also about what quarterback you're facing. You're not going to blitz Tom Brady because you're not going to be able to fool him. You're not going to blitz Aaron Rodgers because you can't fool him. But guess what? If you get Colt McCoy, or if, you get the Rams backup quarterback late in the year, or you get, some young quarterback that hasn't played a lot of football, they play the Commanders, you get that young kid from North Carolina who's barely played. Yeah, you might see Wilks bring some 5 and 6 man blitzes and try to confuse them and drop guys into coverage they're not expecting, send blitzes from all kinds of areas. You may see them dial up some exotic blitzes. I think they're going to continue to play lots of games up front. But as far as, does Wilks look more like the Niners, or does the Niners look more like Wilks? I think it's going to be Wilks making the, adapting to what the Niners do. And you'll see them blitz a little bit more, but it's not going to be top 5 in the league. All right, hope you enjoyed the 49er video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.